Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. It's part 4 in Simon and App Lab. All right, so I hope we have some fun today. We are going to probably talk about user input now and maybe kind of dealing with this little text box down here at the same time. So let's kind of review what our app does right now as is. If I zoom out just a little bit, I can see my run button. Right now, it looks like we have a sequence of lights that flashes. It looks like that image took a second to load. I hope that's not a problem. I don't think it is. So we have a sequence of lights that flashes based on what round number it is, so that's great, right? Round number 8, I should see 8 lights, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And there we go. So the sequence is predetermined right now, but maybe we'll fix that as well in this video as well. So let's go ahead and kind of think about so right now we have these lights that flash up when we touch them. Let's see if we can build this out here in a clean way. Well, first things first, I'm going to make it so that the sequence is randomized. Okay, so right now I don't want a predetermined sequence. That's no fun. So I'm going to ditch all of the numbers I put in sequence, and I'm also going to start the round over at round 1. Okay, so part of my flash sequence, I think what I want to do is actually add a number to the sequence. All right, so let's do this real quick. At the beginning of flash sequence, I want to actually increase the sequence is empty right now. Every time I call flash sequence, I want to actually put a number into the sequence. So what I want to do is actually, the way you do that with an array or like a list like this, you say sequence dot push. Okay, now in here, I'm going to put something in here in a second, but I do want that to be a random number. Okay, so maybe what I can do is I can say that there's this random number, and I want it to be a random number between, do you see this? Okay, so random number between min and max. Okay, the minimum number returned and the maximum number returned. This syntax is going to be bad for a second. I'll fix it in just a second. I meant to just have a variable name, but it turned out I'm grabbing the whole function. We'll fix that in just a minute, so no worries. The minimum number I want, remember it's numbers from 0 to 3, so I guess I'm going to have 0 as my minimum, comma, maximum will be 3. Okay, so I don't need this. What I'm going to do is actually just place this random number. You see this thing? I'm going to grab that and put it inside the push. Okay, and we'll talk about in a second what this does. So sequence.push, push basically means I'm going to push something into the list. I'm going to add it to the list. And what I'm going to add is a random number between 0 and 3 and including 0 and 3. Okay? So let's see what happens if the round number is 1. Well, basically every time we flash the sequence, we're now going to add a number, and the round number will also go up. Okay, so this is ready to go for adding new random numbers into the sequence. But what we need is this other piece, which is the user input. So let's actually make another variable up here. Let's see, user answers. And let's have it also be a list. So this is the kind of way that I think of doing it. I suspect that there's probably a lot of different ways to do this. This is the first way that I thought of, using a list as the answer. So like as the player kind of like hits the buttons, and it adds an answer to their answer list, and we're going to be comparing those answers to the sequence. Okay, so let's try this. So how does somebody add an answer? I suppose they press a button, right? So maybe we'll say we have to decide when they press the button. Remember we said we were going to come back to these. When they press these buttons, an answer gets added. So what I'm going to do is actually when they let go of the button, will be when the answer is added to the array. So do you see these mouse ups? I'm going to add some functionality to this mouse up function that is going to say that an answer is added to the user array, the user answer array. Okay. So for example, so green being 0. So when the mouse leaves, when the mouse is up on the green button, what I want to do is user answers, or is it player? What did I call this? I called it user answers. Maybe I should call it player answers. Player answers. And I'm going to push something onto that, okay? So in the green mouse up, I'm going to say player answers dot push. Now what is it? Green is 0, so I'm going to push the number 0 into the list. Does that make sense? So now every time I push 0, or sorry, every time I push green and release it, 0 gets added to my player answers list. Okay? So what I'm going to do is actually kind of fill the rest of these out. I'm kind of down here in the pressers section. And I'm going to fill out each of these with the red in the mouse up. Red, I believe, is 1. So slow the video down, pause it if you have to. Essentially, I'm going to all the mouse up functions and pushing in the proper value according to what the key is at the top of the code, right? Yellow is 2, and blue finally is 3. Okay? So there we go. So right now, if I press these buttons, like if I run this app, I'm actually adding things. So I've added a bunch of zeros, and now I've added a 1. So there actually is in the program right now, there is an array or a list of player answers, and I've filled it up a little bit, right? But I'm not checking anything. So there's no way to check to see if the answers are right because I haven't seen the sequence. But essentially, now we're ready to use that functionality to check answers. Okay, so let's actually do this. So the program is going to start like this, okay? The program is going to start with a flash sequence. Okay? So if I do this, I should see flash sequence. Now, at the beginning of the program, the sequence is empty. When I say flash sequence, a random number is pushed in. It's going to show that light. And then it'll like do nothing else, right? So there you go. It looks like yellow was added, right? And what's cool about this is that next time I run the game, it's not necessarily going to be yellow. That time it was blue, right? Every time I run it, it's going to be different. You know, there's like some randomness. Actually, it got all 4. That was kind of cool. So it's going to be a different game every time. So what it should do is it should flash the sequence, and then when I press one of these buttons and release it, I should add an answer to the answers array, and then I should check the answers. Does that make sense? So after I push, whatever button I push, I should actually check to see if that was the right button. So I guess after I push these on all of these, I should have a function that I haven't written yet called check answer. By the way, I have not written this function yet, but I should. Every time I add an answer to the array, I should see if it was the right answer, don't you think? So underneath all of these pushes, I'm going to say check answer. So every time I push one, I need to check an answer, and that function has not been written yet, so let's write it. By the way, feel free to remember, slow this video down if you have to. Pause and check, but let me just kind of review with you what I've done. Player answers push whatever number code is associated with the color, and then I need to check answer, and that's on all of the buttons: green button, red button, yellow button, blue button. Okay, let's write check answer. Now it doesn't really matter where we write it. Here are the flash. I'm going to do it right underneath flash sequence. How about that? Check answers. So what does it mean to check the answers? Function check answer. Did I say check answer? Yeah, I did. Okay. So essentially what I need to do is, if it shows me a sequence, and let's say the sequence goes green, red, yellow, and then it's going to wait for me, right? So then I guess the answer number is going to be, like the first time I press something, the answer number should be 0, right? Answer number, like it should be 0 in my array because that will line up with the one in the sequence. So basically what I'm going to be doing in here is check. Yeah, so I'm going to just kind of like, here's a sequence, okay? I'm just going to do a comment here. Sequence, what if the sequence looks like this, for example? Like 1, 2, 3, and then 0. Let's say we've seen 4 lights, so I'm changing my mind. It goes 1, 2, 3, and 0. So basically what I should be doing is, depending on what answer just came in, I need to check if the player answer array is lining up perfectly with that, right? So this is going to be a little bit tricky. This is the hardest part of this app, is the answer checking. And perhaps it's because of the way that I visualize doing it with arrays, and maybe you found a better way, and explore that if you will. But essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to look at the most recent answer in the, so for example, the current answer, I'm going to have a little variable. my current answer is going to be whatever the last item is in my array. Okay, so like here's my player answers. I'm just going to shorten it just for the sake of visuals. Let's say I've only touched one button. It showed me the sequence that went red, yellow, blue, green, right? And then I put red into here, right? That's what happens when I push red. A 1 gets put into this array. Now I need to check the final answer in here, which is going to be this. The current answer is, it's always the final number in the list. So like after I add another 2, I need to check this answer, right? So essentially, how do I say the last item in the list? How do I target that? I would say it's in the player answers list. Player answers at, and it's the last one. So basically, the way you do that, it's the length of the list minus 1. Okay, so what's the length of this list here? The length of this list is 2, but I wanted the item from index 1. So remember, because this is index 0 and index 1. So it's always 1 less than the length. So I need to grab player answers length minus 1. So that's my current answer. So what I'm going to be doing is if I'm going to check if, let's say if we get the answer wrong. So if current answer, and I also need the current answer index. Actually, you know what I need to do? Let's do that first. I'm going to say current answer index, var, current answer index. The index of the current answer is what's in here. So I'm going to grab this. This is the index of the current answer, and then I can actually just use current answer index as the index inside this part. Let's just review what I did here because I kind of changed the design at the last minute here. I don't want to confuse you too much. So what I did was, what index is the final answer at? Well, it's whatever the end of the list is, and it's always the -1 relationship with the length. Can you tell what this index is in this list up here? This is index 3 because it goes 0, 1, 2, then 3, right? And the relationship is always the length of the list, which is 4, minus 1, right? So I guess the last answer in player array is going to be player answers.length minus 1, and now my current answer will be player answers at that current answer index. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if the current answer, let's say we get it wrong, is not equal to the sequence at the current answer index, then the answer is wrong. Okay, I'm just going to write that in the comment. Answer is wrong. Okay. We'll figure out what to do if the answer is wrong, but right now we're ready for it if the answer is wrong. Otherwise, the answer is right. What else could be special? Okay, so what else is special? If the answer is wrong, maybe we can do like a game over screen, and we can probably deal with that in just a second. If the answer is, if it gets past that block of code, it means the answer is right. But what other special cases do we have? I guess if the player answer index ends up being as big as, right? Do you see if I fill up the player answers and it ends up being the biggest? That means that's the final answer in the sequence and special stuff should happen. Okay, so let's do this. So now I need to do else if the current answer index, if it's as big as, let's see, if it's equal to the sequence.length minus 1, so essentially this is, it's the last answer. Then what we want to do, and remember, if we get past this answer is wrong block, we know the answer is right. So if the answer is right and it happens to be the very last answer that we need, we should do something special as well, right? We should actually go to the next round, right? So we should do round number. Do we call it round num or round number? Round number. So we should increase this. It means we've beat the round, right? Round number plus plus, and then we need to go flash another sequence. Okay, and when we go flash the sequence, do you remember what's going to happen? We're going to push a new random number onto the sequence, and then we're going to show them, and then what we should really do at the beginning of every sequence, you know what we should do? Actually, what we should really do is empty out the answer list again. You remember? We need to empty out the player answer list. So let's actually empty that out. So every time we kind of get a new sequence, it means that the player answers starts over. So let's do that. Let's say player answers. Now is just a blank list again. And they have to fill it all up because every round you have to show all your answers again, so it empties it out completely. Okay. So player answers equals an empty list. Okay, we're good to go. And what happens if, let's see, what is it not like? Oh, because I have this in a comment, that's why it doesn't like it. There we go. Okay, so let's just kind of review what we've done. We're going to grab the answer index. So if it's answer, if it's the first answer, the index will be 0. If it's the second answer, the index will be 1, and so on and so on. So it's always equal to the length of the array minus 1. Now the current answer is going to be the player answers array at that index, the final index. We're going to say if that current answer does not actually equal what it's supposed to equal, which is from the sequence array in the same place, then the answer is wrong. We're going to do something. Otherwise, the answer must be right, and there's a special case where the current answer index is the same as it's the final one. It's the last answer. If it's the last answer and it's right, then we should increase the round number and we should flash another sequence. So this actually should do some interesting stuff right now, except for dealing with the answer is wrong thing. Let's just kind of see how the app behaves right now. Let's see if it does anything interesting. So let's see here. So I get a yellow, and when I get a yellow, so I did a yellow green. It doesn't wait very long, does it? So it showed me yellow green. So if I do yellow green, red. So it looks like it's kind of like behaving pretty well. So if I get the answers right, it's a yellow, green, red, blue. Okay, yellow, green, red, blue, red. It almost is like Simon, right? Except for it doesn't care if I get it right or not, right? You see how it doesn't even I totally got it wrong there. I can just click any old sequence and it's fine. So it looks like it's behaving pretty well. We should probably deal with this wrong answer thing real quick. I don't know how much time I have in the video. Let's deal with the answer being wrong, and then we will kind of move on. So let's make a function called, how about this, game over. Okay, game over will do, oh, you know what we should do here before we do game over? Round number plus plus, and then let's actually, let's grab this text box. You remember this? Let's do set property. Let's kind of do some stuff with the text box. The text box should read, why not, next round, right? And then we can wait. Let's wait a second, right? So I'm going to set the property of text box to next round, and then I'm going to wait, and then maybe what I'll do is empty out that text box again. So set the text box being nothing at all. And you know what? I don't really like having test here. Maybe we should say good luck at the beginning, right? I don't know, or something. Or maybe we can just do nothing at all except for next round. So let's copy this, Command C, and I'm actually going to put that. You know what I should do is just have it be the default text. Let's do that. So in the design section, I'm going to set the default text of this text box back to, where's my text box? Come on. I don't want it to be test in there. I just don't want it to be anything at all. Okay. I don't get the next round. I don't see the next round. I wonder why that's not working. Let's see. Did we do that right? No, it didn't. It didn't work. Why doesn't it like it? Cannot set property next round on element text box. Oh, you know what? I didn't use the correct parameter list. Okay, this is live debugging. So what I'm doing is I'm setting text box. What property do I want? I want to change text, and I want it to change next round. That's why. So I forgot that parameter. I need to tell it what parameter or what property I wanted it to change. Okay, so let's take a look at this code again. What element am I targeting? The text box. What do I want to change about it? The text. What do you want it to say? Next round. What I forgot was this middle part, text, because I thought it was obvious, but apparently not. So let's see, does it say next round? It does, and it only says the next round when I truly get to the next round. Okay, there we go. Let's do game over real quick. Let's set the text. I'm going to grab this set property block and move it right up here before game over. I'm going to set the box to game over. Actually, you know what? That makes more sense. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to take this game over thing and put it inside the game over function. That seems like a better place for it. So I'm going to take this, copy it. I'll put it back in just a second. What does the game over function look like? Let's clean this video up. We're almost done here. Function game over. The first thing I'll do in there will be set the property to game over. And then what I should do is show that I should wait for a second, maybe like for 2 seconds. Then I should set the property back to blank, and then maybe I should show that play again button. Remember this? Remember that play again button we had hidden? What is it that we want to show? Do you guys remember? No, not show. It's show element. Yeah, show element. And it would be the play again button. Okay. So right now, the play again button's not going to do anything, but at least it'll kind of look like the game's over. You know what I mean? So let's see if we get it right. So if we get it right, next round. Next round, yay. Now let me get it wrong here. So game over, and it shows up for 2 seconds, and then play again shows up. So it does feel more like a real game. So green, blue, next round. So we're doing pretty well. Green, blue, green, and it's like all the lights are lighting up, and it's always different every time. Like the Simon sequence is not always the same. Okay, so I won't bore you through a full game of Simon, but it's like pretty clean. Like, yeah, I'm actually kind of getting into the game now, but let's see if the game over. So let's say I miss it. Game over, play again. And this feels like pretty good. I'm going to leave it here for this video. There's stuff that we have to clean up. We have to make play again work, and really we should do a score system. But let's just kind of review real quick, what we did, okay? I feel like some of the stuff was a little bit like rambly, but you know what? I think the review might help here. So let's take a look. I don't need this. If I could just move this. Oh, it won't let me because it's like currently running. All right. So what did we do? We added functionality to the player or the mouse up function on all these buttons. Ended up adding to a player answer array. Okay, and after we added an answer, we checked to see if it was the correct answer. So we did that for all 4 buttons. We looked at the check answer and what it meant, and it was a little bit squirrely in here, my explanation of it. Let's see if I can do better one more time. We need to check the position of the answer. Okay, so the reason why we need the position of the answer is so we can compare it to the actual answer that it should be. So we'll say the current answer index is always the final one. It's always the most recent player answer, and we'll check to see if that current answer is actually equal to what it should be in the sequence, and if it's not, game over. Otherwise, the only other special case is if the current answer is the final one, and the final answer is the sequence's length minus 1. Like, so for example, the length is 4, but the final index is index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So if it's the final answer and it's correct, then we increase the round number, we say next round, and yay, wait a second, and then we flash the sequence. And remember what the sequence does when we flash it? It actually clears out the player answers again because they're responsible for filling it all the way back up. And we add a new number to the sequence, and we display all of those lights. Okay, so let's see here. I think it's pretty good. I feel happy about it. We can add a couple of features next time, like the play again button. We can do a high score thing and make a table full of high scores. But for now, that should be pretty helpful. I mean, this is very close to being showable to your friends. So let's pick it up maybe one more video, and then we'll call it good for Simon. Hope you guys have been learning a lot. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you visiting my channel. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Please write me with any questions. Happy coding.